Hi all, I hope you're doing well and welcome to the Cine Circle film pitching competition. First things first, it'd be fantastic if you guys could give me a quick thumbs up in the comments just to make sure that you can hear me okay, that you can see me okay, and just to make sure that everything is working. There is going to be an ever so slight delay between us presenting live and you guys seeing things live on YouTube, but that should be about 20 seconds or so. So if there are any issues and you let us know, we'll probably find out about that 20 seconds later. Um, Great. I see some quick emojis over here, which is great. So as you all know, today will be the pitching competition. Yeah, with some really exciting prizes, which is also sponsored by Fallback Rentals. Yeah, we've put together this pitching competition to really empower filmmakers to be able to make short films. We know that short films are increasingly harder and harder to fund, and because of that, we've partnered with Fallback Rentals to help at least one filmmaker here from this pitching competition bring their vision to life. We've received over 60 pitches from various filmmakers around the UK, and we've shortlisted those down to, I believe it's 10 or 11, who will be presenting live today. So if that's you, you'll already know about that because, of course, we've been in touch over email. Um, so yeah, and I hear that my headphones might not be great. Let me try something different, guys. Let me just change my audio. Okay. Hopefully that sound is better. Let me know. So we're gonna start with a quick introduction, and then we're also going to introduce our partners from Fallback Rentals, and then we will get straight into the pitching competition. Now, for everyone who is pitching, first things first, you will probably be watching this live on YouTube right now, the majority of you. I am just going to name the pitches in order so that you know roughly when your pitch is happening. And based on that, we will be letting you know when you need to join StreamYard. So everyone pitching, you will have already received that link to StreamYard over email. So make sure that you have that link handy. So the order of the pitches is first Susie Miller with Babs Out, then Masha Den Boneval with Tess, Edward Mitra with Pushing Daisy, Antonia Lange with Adonis, then Francisco with Time's Up, Ed with Sapiens, Meg with The Craving, Lisa with Harry Mary, Emma with Canvas Playgrounds, and Nicholas with Descent into the Night. Into Night. So first things first, it would be great if we could get Susie and also Masha with the project Cass onto StreamYard so that you guys are ready to go. With everyone else whose names I haven't called, it would be great if you guys could stay off of StreamYard right now and watch this live on YouTube. That would be fantastic. Okay, so now that we've gotten some of all of this little housekeeping items out of the way, I would love to introduce our partners, Fallback Rentals. So with that, Sean, Ethan, I'm just going to bring you guys onto the stage.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm Sean.
Hi, Ethan.
Great.
So yeah, I mean, as ZB
Feel
was
free
saying,
to.
sorry. So as ZB was saying, we understand that it's hard to fund short films, and a big chunk of that budget often goes to kit. Me and Ethan are filmmakers ourselves, so we decided to start Fallback Rentals in order to help people like you and like us fund short films. And so we're really happy to be part of this and supply the winner with a kit package. But also want to let you know, for anyone who doesn't win, that we also offer 25% off of the first rental for anyone renting from us, as well as for CineCircle members, they get a 20% discount on all subsequent rentals. So yeah, we're here to try to help supply your kit as cheap as possible.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've got a wide array of kits. So if there's any stuff that catches your eye and you want to come and test out, separate from all of this, hit us up on any of the socials or email. And yeah, we'd love to have you by, and love to see everyone from there.
So
Great.
keep it brief.
Amazing, guys. Yeah, and you know, massive thank you for for helping bring this pitching competition to life. Yeah, we're excited to see what the pitches are going to be like as well.
Yeah, likewise.
Great. Well, thank you so much, guys. I'm going to take you from up on the stage, and then we will start with the competition itself. But thank you once again. Big thank you. Okay, guys. So without further ado, we're going to move on to the first pitch. Just so everyone is aware of the format, it's going to be up to a 5-minute pitch, which will be followed by a few minutes of Q&A with myself and Adam. Actually, I will quickly introduce Adam as well. So Adam, I will quickly add you to the stage. Maybe you can just say a few quick words about you. Did not brief you for this, so I'm putting you on the spot over here just a little bit. But Adam will be our second judge in this pitching competition here today.
Hey everybody, it's nice
You want to just say a quick.
Hey everybody, it's nice to be here. So I'm Adam Donnelly. I work in development. And I also work with a lot of film festivals, specifically in pitching, and I'm a programmer. I'm a filmmaker myself as well. So yeah, looking forward to seeing all the pitches, and yeah, good luck.
Great, fantastic. So final note, we are wanting the pitches to be a maximum of 5 minutes. Now, if the pitches are getting up to that 5-minute mark, I'm just going to come on stage without interrupting you right away, but then you know that you probably need to wrap up in the next 15 seconds or so. So if you see my face, that's what that means, but I'll stay quiet to let you finish that pitch as well. And finally, for everyone who's watching, please feel free to use the chat as a networking opportunity to chat to each other, talk about the pitches, give feedback as well. We love to see that kind of stuff in the chat. So let's start with the first pitch. Susie Miller with Babs Out. Susie, I'm just going to add you to the chat now. To the screen now. Welcome. I will, let you go from here. So your 5 minutes starts now.
Thank you so much. I'm Susie Miller, and I'm going to be sharing with you something about a short film called Babs Out, 15-minute. So when a politician's right breast pops out before the Chinese ambassador, the media mistake this as a deliberate political act. Becoming an overnight feminist icon threatens to expose her recent mastectomy that she fears her political opponents will use against her, destroying her chances of becoming Prime Minister. So we have a great team, producer Joe Southwell of Mermaid Pictures, who've got their first feature at the moment heading into production. Director is Amelia O'Loughlin. She's made short narrative films and is currently directing a BBC documentary feature. We have also a co-producer, Tamia Kajoti of 21 Filmworks, who's a writer, director and producer in her own right. And we even have a casting director on board, Cameron Culver. So I'm a Nichols semi-finalist screenwriter and co-producer, bringing this all together. As an indie producer myself, I've made an award-winning short film, just finished another we're about to submit to Cannes, and an immersive binaural audio drama. So I have a wide range of talented crew to draw upon in my home county of Sussex, where this will be shot. So we're a strong contender for the BFI Short Film Fund, but also applying for other funding, and we already have raised some private capital towards the £17,500 budget, and we're confident to raise the rest this month for our July shoot schedule. Some crew positions will include opportunities for mainly female and local crew gaining experience in areas that elevate their careers. We will also prioritize local Sussex cast and crew, because that's where I live, and we intend to cast at least 3 of our cast members with actors with disabilities. Our Sussex director of photography has worked on big budget features through to TV dramas and documentaries, and he's Emmy nominated. And we have a trans male actor already very keen to play the part. He has a very good theatre acting career behind him, because one of the characters is a trans male character. And we'll prioritise Sussex-based cast and crew with casting that reflects the diverse community that I see in my own village. So we already have endorsements from breast cancer charities, Flat Friends and Pink Ribbon Foundation, and the database of those and other charities are ready and waiting an engaged audience keen to watch the film. It's an irreverent and timely. This is a comic satire that's moved readers to tears through their lived experience of breast cancer. Anais wrote to me, "I've just finished it and I'm crying." Kat says it brought me to tears. I felt very emotional. Was Gemma? She said, "I also have a good and bad boob." Mastectomy is a subject that remains taboo in our society, that we rarely see portrayed on screen, especially with a central character who is not a victim, but a heroine, which is why this film takes an unorthodox approach to a serious subject, where the trans male HR director, Jack, is wonderfully non-PC with his use of slang for breasts. The comedy is essential because it opens up the emotions of the viewer, preparing them to respond to the final denouement with open hearts and hopefully triumphant tears. The taboo around mastectomy exposes the social construct that a woman's identity is entwined with her having breasts. I interviewed women who rejected having reconstruction, for example, but the NHS requires them to undergo a psychological assessment. One woman related how a surgeon left extra skin around the mastectomy scar, so it would be easier to do reconstruction when that woman later changed her mind. Just as the medical profession reflects the bogus idea that a woman is less of a woman if she has no boobs, the central character Barbie must deal with her own prejudice against her bad boob. This is a fear that is equally reflected in the lives of women like Kat, who wrote to me saying, "After having my left breast removed, I felt like a freak for many, many months, not wanting to look at myself in the mirror. It took me 11 months to show my husband what I looked like." So this film also satirizes our relationships with politicians and what it is to be truthful and transparent rather than play the game. The two themes interweave, interlocking, where the main protagonist's fears of losing her chance to be taken seriously as a prospective prime minister becomes her excuse for the real issue is that she just doesn't want to face. She's not accepting the change in her body through this mastectomy. So these two unlikely themes are connected by the trans male character Jack, whose very different journey through top surgery not only provides another context for our heroine Barbie's challenge to accept her own body, but it's also Jack's advice that's critical to Barbie. He encourages her to find the courage to trust and be vulnerable. And this is the catalyst for her final transformation. So Barbie lets go of her anger at what she perceives as her body betraying her and relinquishes her fear of what her colleagues and the public will think of her. And these themes interweave, leading to a highly emotional climax. The importance of our protagonist conveying this particular story is summed up by Sarah Coombs, who's trustee of the charity Flat Friends. She said, "There's more to this character than just being a woman. She has a role within society, and I think that's really important to see, and that she's able to do that job without two breasts." I'm Susie Miller, and it's BAPS Out that I'm sharing for your consideration. Thank you for listening.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And you are right on the 5-minute mark. First and foremost, it's not easy going first in these pitching competitions. So thank you so much. We'd love to ask a few questions. I can maybe start, and then Adam, if you've got any questions, you can follow up with that. You mentioned you've spoken to quite a few charities, which is great, and that their databases are ready. That's another fantastic thing that I always like to hear. Have you spoken to them about what you want to do with the film after it's finished? In terms of will you be screening it with them or?
Yes. So obviously, with one of the things I'm very keen is that even. Obviously, I can't decide at this stage about the actual distribution because that comes from whoever's putting up the money. But nonetheless, they are a kind of a very warm and open and very happy to share audience. So that will be very much part of a strategy. But I would, ethically, if nothing else, want to make sure that even if it's through private links, that they all had the opportunity to see it. But I hope it will be tied into a marketing campaign, because it'd be bonkers not to do that. Well, also through those interviews, at the end of the film, the character, it's a wonderful ending, but it kind of opens up, well, what's she going to do next? And my conversations I've ended up actually interviewing quite a few of these women, and it is kind of a natural documentary. And ideally, I'd like it to be the main character in a kind of dramatized documentary, but with real women going on that journey. Because I've learned so much from it. It's been quite shocking, quite frankly, this whole new world. And since I wrote it, my sister, who's 10 years younger than me, has just recently been diagnosed with breast cancer. So it's 1 in 7 women. It's in the UK, it's absolutely massive. And so, yeah, writing it has made me see this is actually not just a nice story, well told. It's actually a really important film. And it, could go into a feature, certainly could make a fascinating documentary as well.
Right, thank you. Adam, any questions on your side?
Yeah, I also wanted to just chat just very, very briefly about your intentions with distribution and marketing. Obviously, there's a lot of pertinent kind of parties that would be involved, but I think the question I do have for you, just with regards to that, you'd spoken about there's already you have quite an audience that's already quite interested in this, and I would assume with the topics that you're touching on, how do you plan on balancing the satire with dealing with the subject as I would. Fickle is the wrong word. I would say dealing with the subject as
it's a tricky,
it will be quite a fine line that you'll have to tread. I love the idea of satire, and especially like leaning into the political aspect of it, because it's something that's quite a hot topic right now as well, and I mean something that's constantly being pushed into our faces, and especially with issues of diversity. And from what you've spoken about, I mean, you tick quite a few boxes for me with, using, coming from Sussex, using the people from the area, and just really like digging into trying to make this as inclusive and as diverse as possible. But just take me through some of your ideas regarding walking that very, very thin line between the satire and staying true to the core of the topic.
So being able to write this at all has been kind of a culmination of the last few years. Like last year, I was a Nicole semi-finalist for one of my features. So my writing is, to be blunt, quite good over the years. But my first project, I dealt with my mum's early stage dementia, and that was a comedy drama that's like heartwarming, because I take difficult subjects and I look at them just from a different perspective. And I'm not saying it's a sort of, I don't shy away from the harsh realities, but there are other ways of looking at it. Like my mum is very liberated in many ways. She notices things in nature that she didn't before. So it's not like it's all bad. And I think we have, my second was a immersive audio drama I made last summer, and that was a young gangster comes out as non-binary to his gangland boss. So again, a dark comedy drama. Always, I like to make people cry. I like to make them laugh. I feel that's my job as a writer. And I like tackling subjects that are awkward and difficult. But if you come at them at the right way, there's always something beautiful and positive through all of these situations. And that's what I always aspire to. And that's what I love to write.
Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Susie. And again, thank you for going first, and for pitching as well. So thank you so much. Cheers. Great. We're going to move on to the next pitch in just a moment. Before we do, so next will be Masha will be up. Just to let Edward know as well from Pushing Daisy, if you could start coming on to StreamYard now so that you are ready when it's your turn to pitch, because you will be going afterwards as well. So Masha, I'm going to add you to the stage now, and welcome.
Hello, hi.
Also add your presentation. Are you guys able to flick through the slides just from a technical?
Let me just check.
Just want to make sure.
Does it work?
You are. Yes.
Good.
Perfect. Fantastic. So yeah, I will let you guys crack on with your pitch. So your 5 minutes starts now.
Thank you. So hi everyone, I'm Masha, the producer.
Hi everyone, I'm Melville. I'm the director of TESS.
And so we're co-founders of Damien Picture Limited, a young production company very eager to develop its size, and so we're quite new, and this is why we're here, presenting to you our first major project, Tess. So Tess follows the story of Layla, a 15-year-old girl who invites Sam, a man, to her home while her family is away. The twist? Layla met Sam online, he's 27, and she pretended to be a 22-year-old student named Tess to gain his attention online. So Tess is a coming-of-age drama that explores the complexities of growing up as a young woman and the risk of predatory behaviors. With an initial budget of 8K, we've already secured 6K through 5 executive producers, and we're now looking to raise an additional 2K. Tess, I'm happy to share that Tess is officially greenlit, with pre-production underway and principal photography set to kick off in mid-April in southwest London.
So the film came about two main ideas. Masha and I grew up in the digital era, where teens and ourselves explore our sexualities and our identities in a complete different ways compared to previous generation. The second thing is that we realized that we never discuss enough about the risk of sexual predation and predatory behaviors. And yet we live in a hypersexual society. We are usually often too embarrassed to discuss those topics, leaving teenagers and sometimes ourselves forced to explore our sexualities in secrecy and shame, making us extremely vulnerable to predators. And this is why that pushed us, Masha and I, to tell the story. And at the end of the script, when Layla starts to reveal her identity and age to Sam, instead of leaving and helping her, he starts to manipulate her in terms of getting what he wants, which is easy sex. And this is exactly the kind of things that Tess is trying to shade a light upon. It's not a victimization of predatory behavior, but rather trying to understand how it comes about and what the mechanism forces at play. As such, the film tackles and kind of speaks to two main audiences. First, the young generation, the one who are directly experiencing the forces that we're trying to discuss and are clearly and desperately looking for something to relate to. And second, the parents, the adults, the people that are completely unaware and uninformed about the social dynamics of teens nowadays and the risk that they face. Yet, we must emphasize, Tess is more than just a cautionary tale. It is, a deep character exploration. It's shot in a nearly documentary style approach, mostly preferring handheld camera works, and we're trying to follow the story through Layla's eyes, trying to remain as subjective as possible. By doing this, we're also tackling the concept of the male gaze, because rather than objectifying Layla, we're objectifying the predator, who's Sam. And as such, Tess ended up being kind of an intimate look in the mind of a young girl who's seeking for intimacy, and the predator, the older man, who's trying to manipulate her to obtain what he wants. And let's be honest, there's an urgent need to tell that kind of story today, because even with films such as How to Have Sex or The Virgin Suicide, or TV shows like Euphoria's that manage to spark your conversation, there is still a gap in the media landscape for raw and honest coming-of-age drama, and this is exactly why we wanted to tell the story. In terms of cast and crew, it's pretty nearly finished. We have Hannah Franklin, who's going to play Layla, and Carlos da Costa playing Sam. As a director, I must say it's such a privilege to work with such talented actors, and I'm so excited to kick off the production with them in April. In terms of crew, we're kind of working with our little filmmaking family. Most of them we had the chance to work together in the past on previous films. Most of us got trained at the London Film School, and some of them got trained in the professional world. And we're really excited to kick off production on this. Also, to make sure that we do the story justice, we hired an intimacy coordinator, Jordan Leckford, coming straight from NFTS. And as we speak, he's still trying to tackle those intimacy scenes to make them as safe as possible. And he's drafting the first intimacy risk assessment for the production. Finally, Tess has been supported by key industry figures from Sam Breckman, the producer of True Detective, and Alex Sinolan, the screenwriter behind David Fincher's most works. And we're trying to do this because we want for Damian Pictures and for ourselves to partner up with more industry professionals. And this is also why we're here and trying to pitch for Senior Circle, because we're eager to initiate a partnership with you to both develop ourselves as filmmakers and for our company.
So we have a very quick turnaround for Tess. The film will be ready by early July. In terms of distribution, we're of course targeting festivals, and especially those that align with the film's disruptive vision. But beyond festivals, we want to make Tess a catalyst for conversation. So we're partnering with law firms and foundations against sexual abuse. Some of them are already happy to take us on their podcast. And we're also collaborating with secondary schools. The goal is to use this film to create a space for debate beyond festival recognition. In terms of marketing, we thought of a series of interactive public campaigns. So we're planning on making, for example, Tinder profiles, where Tess engages with users, revealing her true age before redirecting them to the film trailer. We're also thinking of placing flyers and posters around central London, prompting people to vote on film-related topics before receiving a link to the film's press kit. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. Just to finish off, winning the fund today would let us drop fundraising and dive straight into production. That is starting soon, mid-April. The budget initially set aside for equipment rental could be reallocated to post-production and marketing expenses, resulting in a sharper, more polished film and stronger strategy to market and distribute Tess. Thank you again.
Funding also for Tess is also supporting the next wave of filmmakers that are coming out in London. And partnering with CineCircle will help Demian Pictures, our company, to develop itself, get the skills and tool set necessary to become an active player of the independent film sector in the UK. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for listening to us. And if you have any question, we'll be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you guys so much for the pitch. Let me just make us a little bigger over here. So again, a quick question for you guys. What would you say will be the two of your biggest challenges between now and production? I reckon between the intimacy and so on, that there could be some there, but this could either be logistical, this could be with the story. But what are the two things that you're sort of you see being the biggest obstacles at the moment to making a great film?
So I guess, if I can start on this, Marsha, on the first question, obviously the intimacy is obviously the biggest challenge. As we say, just from the script alone, we see we have a complicated story with kind of a sensitive topic. And, our priority with Marsha and I was to make sure that we will do the story justice by doing it in the perfect way. So, we started let's be honest, we started the development of this film a couple of times ago already. I think we started potentially 2 to 3 months. So we initially casted the actors and also had an intimacy coordinator on board from the get-go. And then from that, we initiated a lot of conversation to make sure that we were completely fine with what's happening. Just to let you know, guys, there's no, sex scenes or very nudity in the film. The intimacy is always trying to be suggested, but yet, because we wanted to make sure that everyone will work in a comfortable environment, we made sure that Jordan, our intimacy coordinator, will be had from hands-on. It's just a conversation we had with actors. We started rehearsing with them. They're lovely, and that was great on my end.
And so more on the production side, I think our greatest is to fundraise, because we're so new, and I think I've sent at least 250 outreach to various people, including to grow our network and to try to very straightforwardly be like, hey, we're doing this. It's a sort of an advocacy project. Please help us. And so, people get back to us saying, we're very happy to distribute this because we think the story is great, but we have no money because we're also a foundation. And so, fundraising and finding the money to kick off the project and the career, I think is one of the the second greatest challenge for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Adam, do you have any other questions?
So I've got maybe two questions, but one question I do really want to. First question, let's start with that. So if you can just take me through your just take me through the genre that you plan on shooting this in. I know you spoke in it. You said it's coming of age story, but just take me through something just give me a little bit of a broader genre with regards to how you plan on seeing the story, and specifically with the arc of your protagonists through the short.
Yeah, do you want me to say that?
Yeah.
So obviously coming of age, because it tells a story of a young woman clearly growing up, and Tess is 15. So I guess it's kind of the first genre. And in terms of the way we're tackling the subject matter, there's obviously this element of tragedy, because obviously it's a drama. The subject matter is quite sensitive, but yet there's something we pride ourselves at Demian Pictures is tackling complicated subject with a touch of humor. And we're trying, to showcase the story of Layla, to not make it into a story that is traumatizing for her, but something she's trying to navigate. This is something we're also doing through the way we're going to film the project, and our DP, Lauren Martin, who's fantastic, come with a very good idea of trying to get inspiration from the Dogma 95 style of filmmaking, by having mostly the camera handheld, following her around, trying to have something very messy to kind of represent what she's going through in her mind. And that's something initially I was a bit scared about, let's be honest, because, handheld is always kind of hectic. But the more I've been thinking about it and the more we've been trying it in pre-production, the more I realize it's exactly what we need for the story. And yeah, I hope that answered your question.
And if I may add,
Yeah, go
in
for it.
terms of arc, I think it's an adventure. So Tess is taking action, it's empowerment through the desire she has. And so we're literally seeing her take action on this and go through it. It ends up not going so well because of the circumstances and the secrecy and the etc. But in the end, she's become a greater person because she's done it and she's beyond that.
Exactly. She doesn't get destroyed by this. She grows up from it. I think that's what we're trying to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky topic, so this is to be discussed and expanded and belongs to a greater conversation. But yeah, roughly speaking, it's an adventure.
Oh, okay, thank you. And then the other question I do have on your last slide about the marketing and your distribution. So I can see you've already put quite a lot of effort into tackling those kind of elements of sort of transmedia, in the sense of it's not just a question of what we want to get into festivals and things like that. But on that last slide, I mean, the festivals that you've popped in there are obviously your big ones. You know what I mean? Outside of, I mean, there's always the reality that you would not get into those festivals, and I do understand, and I do quite like the idea that you have given thought into how you want to build your audience, in the sense of you're aiming at going to schools and things like that. But backup plan, have you got any outside of those main festivals, and do you have any other plan outside of getting it into those festivals? I mean, what happens if that falls away? What are your other strategies with regards to getting the movie out?
Yeah,
go for it.
First thing is that a very convenient thing with this enormous outreach I've done is that I already have 500 emails, I think, of people that know about the project and are happy to hear about it once it's made. So that's one fallback on it. And as we mentioned, we're looking to partner with foundations that are happy to push their material online on their social media. Of course, through our own social media accounts, we'll push this as much as we can. We have a bit of a follower base, so that's already somewhere to get visibility. We're also thinking of doing podcast appearances, as I said. We're also thinking of school, and that could sort of snowball into greater momentum.
One thing that we can guarantee at this point is that from our outreach and obviously from kicking up the project is that we secured already some of those alternate distribution kind of routes. We already are partnering with schools, and we are going to potentially, I mean, obviously, if the film gets made in time, we're partnering with those schools to showcase the film at the end of July. Same with those foundations. As Masha mentioned, we have a law firm that were very interested in the subject matter because they were tackling this concept of at what age is someone capable of making a consensual decision. And as such, they picked up the project. We're going to be part of their podcast and trying to spread the film through that. Then to answer your question about, obviously festival strategy, we aim big with the festival that we put on our slide. But then there's also other festival what we know of because we had the chance to showcase some of our work there before that we're also going to try to send them. But as you know, festivals are expensive. It's always a big bunch of budget. And as such, we were thinking of potentially doing half of those big ones because, as we said, the film is ready in July. So it's perfect for the beginning of a festival campaign starting in August or September 2025. And as such, that meets some of the requirement and deadline of those festivals to pay for the little, like even the little amount of fees that they're offering. And as such, from that, if it works, Mazel Tov, and that's fantastic, and we can move on. If it doesn't, we also have the second range of festivals and those second distributors that we're trying to aim.
And we just to add a final point, I think for now we're doing the equipment we're looking for is obviously small budget, etc. for the shooting, and so partnering with CineCircle will allow us to almost double our equipment price, which will allow us to really push our production value by a large extent, double it. And so
It
have
doesn't.
better
Yeah.
chances to enter festivals and to make better film footage.
It's a little push. It doesn't, it doesn't make sure that we're going to make the best film ever, but it's still helping a lot.
All right, cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much,
so
everyone.
for
Thank
considering.
you.
Great. And we are going to, in a moment, get started with the final pitch. Before we do, if we could also ask Antonia with the film Adonis to come on to StreamYard so that you're ready to start your pitch when the next one is done. And also, if we could ask everyone who finishes their pitches to move off of StreamYard and back onto YouTube to make space for the next people pitching, that would be great. So Susie, I'm just going to drop you out, and if you can go onto YouTube to film, to watch the rest of it, that would be great. Okay, so let's start with the next pitch. So we've got Edward, welcome to the stage. Let me just add your slides as well. And you've got Danny and Tom with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Just making sure. Great,
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Hi, guys.
So your 5 minutes starts now.
Awesome, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Edward Mitra. I co-wrote Pushing Daisy. I'm a published short story writer, and I've had 2 previous films released to international audiences. And I also produced Sherbet, which was a collaboration with these guys, and it's our latest film.
Hi, I'm Danny Gibbons. I'm the co-writer and the director of this film. I made a couple of shorts before. My short in 2021, Last Dance, won the Méliès d'Or at Sitges Film Festival. And our most recent short, Sherbet, just finished its festival run, where it won Best Director at Brighton Rocks and Best Emerging Talent at New Horizons Film Festival.
Hey, I'm Thomas French. I'm the DP, and I shot the award-winning short film Sherbet with these 2 guys.
Right, so I'll get cracking. So Pushing Daisy is a crazy, daring short film that blends comedy and drama, and it's sort of half sitcom, half tragedy. There's music, there's singing, there's crying, there's dead bodies, and laugh tracks. The film takes place in the quirky Abracadabra funeral directors, and is the story of the eponymous Daisy, a seemingly happy and playful mortician who really knows how to put the fun in funeral. But when her late husband's mistress ends up on her slab, the return of her repressed trauma makes her manufactured sitcom fantasy sort of slowly unravel.
Well, the short's kind of an exaggeration of social conventions, which serve as a critique of essentially the emotionally stunted British typology. There's a real stiff upper lip like syndrome here in the UK in particular. And like in an effort to be polite and not bother, some people kind of constructed this social fiction where the all too famous line, "I'm fine," kind of is a cover up to hide how we really feel.
That's right. No, I'll go. That's right. And this story is quite personal to us, to be fair. Both Danny and I experienced infidelity and grief quite near to the inception of this film. And we really struggled externalizing those emotions, and it instead opted to distract others and ourselves through the classic coping mechanism of humor. Once we started talking about this, though, it prompted us to explore creatively that dissociation between the image that we project in society and what we're really going through emotionally. So going back to the vision for this film, our protagonist fabricates this heightened comedic veneer to mask her inner trauma. And we believe that the classic sitcom genre perfectly captures this artificial, surreal texture with its common tropes that we're all familiar with and love. The zany characters, the gags, and the laugh tracks. But then her trauma comes back to haunt her in the shape of Marianne, her late husband's mistress. And this beautiful, funny, but nevertheless artificial reality starts to fall apart, and we see the real bleak drama that Daisy is actually experiencing.
And the way we're going to achieve this is by creating 2 different filters, the sitcom filter and the reality filter, incorporating different visual styles, aspect ratios, and filmmaking techniques. We will aid the audience through Daisy's emotional arc. We'll be cutting back and forth between the 2 filters until we land on Daisy's final filter. We'll actually be building a mortuary set to allow both lighting styles to coincide. The sitcom filter will use traditional overhead studio lighting with the old zoom lenses to capture the old sitcom feel. The reality filter will change the whole lighting setup. It'll be a lot more dramatic in tone with lots of shadows and music colors. For the most part, we'll be handheld in this section of the short, and we'll be getting up close and personal with her. If you've ever seen Friends and The Haunting of Hill House, you know what we're trying to make.
So yeah, we hope that's given you a good idea of what the story is and what we're trying to actually achieve with this.
Which kind of brings me to like why we're pitching today. You know, we're practically making 2 completely short film, like essentially 2 films at once, like 2 distinctly different tones and aesthetics, which basically means, you know, like we need 2 completely different lighting setups. I mean, we need lots of lenses and potentially even 2 cameras, who knows? But like, so winning this would go a long, long way in helping us achieve this crazy and like wild, ambitious film. You know, we truly believe this film will capture audiences at film festivals around the world. Trauma is a universal thing. And like, especially those unique voice festivals such as Berlinale and Sundance, Fantastic Fest and Rain Dance. But, you know, we'll also look to leverage our previous success of Sherbet with Brighton Rocks, Unrestricted Review and Eurovasance, and we'll kind of leverage our relationship with those to try and kind of get his exposure.
Yeah, and in terms of marketing, we'll do a multi-platform social media campaign. We're using behind-the-scenes footage, interviews with cast and crew, magazine articles. For example, for Sherbet, our previous film, we did a masterclass on British Cinematographer magazine. That was last year. With Pushing Daisy, which is an even more daring and of larger scale, ambitious project, I'm sure we'll end up collaborating with them again. So thank you. If you have any questions, please fire away. I think we're on the 5-minute mark.
Timed that well.
Great, guys. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for the pitch. Yeah, Adam, maybe would you like to kick off this time? If you got any questions?
Yeah. No, I do have questions. So, yeah, the concept's very intriguing, and as you all have mentioned, it is quite an ambitious approach to just doing a short. And I do understand it's like, as you said, you're basically shooting 2 different movies and then pulling them together. It's almost as if you're looking at 2 different sides of a coin. What I just would like to get is a little bit more information about your marketing campaign and your distribution ideas. Just sort of where do you feel this will sit, and what kind of an audience do you think would be interested in something like this, and how you plan on building that audience?
I'd also like to ask one add a question into here, which is were you inspired by any films from the past where you might draw their kind of audience into your film?
Yeah. Absolutely. So in terms of the festival run, we are planning of hiring a festival consultant to kind of work with them and put together proper festival strategy. Obviously, while also leveraging the connections we already have with the festival circuit. In terms of marketing, as I said, even with Sherbet, we did quite a big package of BTS, and we engaged people on social media, and we went to all of the film festivals we were shortlisted for and networked further. So we're hoping that we'll be able to kind of build an audience that way for this one as well. In terms of inspiration, and I would say classic sitcoms of the 80s and the 90s, absolutely. Danny, if there's anything you want to add?
Well, I mean, there isn't one specific thing. You can talk Kevin Can I swear it here? Kevin Can F Himself is a sitcom that sort of does a similar thing. But there's no one thing that really inspired us, rather than it's kind of a comedy meets a drama in a way, right? There's nothing really ever been made like it. You know, it's kind of the two emotions that are really like trauma and humor are very related in a way. They're so close to each other. So I don't think there's any one thing that inspired us now.
Absolutely. I think also the film itself is quite life-affirming, and that cultivates really an audience and makes it accessible for absolutely any audience. And as I said, it's not R-rated in any way, although there's dead bodies and all of that. There's no it's quite sweet and ultimately life-affirming. So we're hoping to cultivate an audience across all quadrants.
I've got a question a little bit about the equipment and the logistical side, because I think, you know, shooting these two completely different styles is, you know, can be very challenging. You know, whether you guys win this competition or not, what did you guys budget for in terms of the equipment? Because it sounds like, you know, with 2 sets of cameras, lights, lenses, and everything, that could add up. And also, how long do you predict the shoot will be? How many days?
I think we've planned it to be a 4-day shoot. And in terms of equipment, our previous short film, we had our kit package provided by Panavision and Panelux. As I'm normally an AC, so I spend a lot of time in and out of that building. So I have like a very, very good relationship with them. So they basically gave us the package for Sherbet for like basically a nominal admin fee. So the budget in terms of that is kind of negligible, but in terms of what we're doing here, it would definitely be a lot bigger. We'd actually have to pay them a decent amount of money. But we've budgeted about $2,500 for it. But in terms of how many cameras, it kind of comes down to whether they're nice enough to us, and including you guys, whether you would want to help us with it as well. It kind of depends on whether the sitcom aspect will be shot multicam or whether it will be one camera for both sections. And in terms of lensing as well, like it comes down to whether we want to go down the shooting sitcom mode in like Super 16 and shooting with old lenses to give us that old effect, or whether we have to negate that and shoot maybe in Super 35 mode with more modern glass, depending on like how things work out with this. Yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
But basically, our budget is roughly about £3,000 to £4,000 for a camera package and lighting package, which is doable with the connections at Panelux and Panavision. But if you know we somehow won this competition, and that money could definitely put towards, yeah, I mean the money that we don't spend on the camera package is definitely put towards like a set build, because a set build is a whole other thing that we're kind of doing. Yeah.
I've just got one other question for you guys. So obviously, I think when I had a look at with your slides that were coming through, you've obviously, because it's two quite opposing sort of tonal styles that you've got going on. So you know, jumping from one to the other can be quite jarring when it comes down to piecing everything together. Do you have any? What are your solutions for? Are you looking at doing quite a seamless transition between one tonal style to the other, or are you going? Or just take me through, you know, what would be your approach of jumping from the sitcom style to the sort of more realistic style, and vice versa?
I think initially it's meant to be jarring. It's meant to be a little bit of whiplash. You know, this is her fabrication of this world she's putting out there, and slowly you don't really know that this reality is coming until she's presented with this body. You see the cracks coming in the sitcom fit with a light flicker and things, and then when she's alone, the whiplash does kind of get you. And then as we go through it, the kind of transitions, so the palette sort of changes. You know, as we go through it slightly, it sort of softens the kind of that sitcom kind of fades away into that reality. The kind of color palette bleeds and things, so it's sort of slightly more palatable until ultimately there is no sitcom filter left. Is sort of is a kind of sign that she's letting go of this fantasy. She's actually come to terms with what her reality is. So it definitely will be kind of whiplashy start with, but like hopefully the planet softens as it goes.
Yeah, I mean there's a few different editing techniques. So like I think maybe 2/3 way through the story, where light explodes, and basically there's an editing technique used in the end of season 1 of Severance we'll use, where like basically flickering between both at the same time, like literally one frame of each thing until we land in one of the filters. And then at the end, we're also bringing in one of the characters into. We're actually bringing Daisy out of the sitcom filter and we're bringing one of the characters out of the sitcom filter into the reality, and we'll be whip panning back and forth in that conversation until we eventually land in the reality filter on that character who was always viewed in the sitcom filter. So there's a few different editing techniques we'll be using, and then also the color grade as well. It's going to be a hugely important thing in terms of making these editing styles and visual styles actually come together.
So especially at the beginning with the light popping or flickering, we will use whip pans and smash cuts as well, just to kind of cut from one filter to another and really demarcate the two different filters. Also, when characters leave a room, you can sort of do a smash cut there and then switch over automatically. But as Danny said, it's meant to be, especially at the beginning, it's meant to be jarring because you're meant to feel the way she feels, and it is jarring, and it is meant to kind of take you and make you feel the same way she does.
Okay, cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Great. Okay, fantastic. And then we are going to move on to the next pitch, which will be Antonia. And also, if we could get Francisco with the film Time's Up to join StreamYard to be ready for the next pitch as well, that would be great. So, Antonia, I'm going to add you to the stage now. Welcome, and your 5 minutes starts now.
Hi, my name's Antonia. I'm a producer for Troika Film Collective, and I'm really excited to share our latest project, Adonis, with you. Adonis is a gay Cinderella story, a queer comedy about feeling the pressure of societal perfection. Our main character, Nathan, longs for a new body and a greater sense of self-esteem. With his friend Marco's stag do just weeks away, he needs to find some courage and clothes he feels comfortable in. Filmed in London this summer with a queer and diverse cast and crew, Adonis is primarily set in a house and beside a pool. We've just commenced fundraising at a budget of $14,000 for a 3-day shoot. Adonis is a story that resonates with generations of people globally. It's about feeling the need to not just fit into societal norms, but exceed expectations by having the perfect body. Nathan's journey to find the confidence within himself is an encapsulation of exactly that wider issue. With major studio productions continuing to fall behind on representing reality, we are more inclined than ever to bring necessary representation to our screens, and we are excited to produce a film that centres queer narratives and body positivity. Our key theme is raising awareness with humour. Looking at this year's BFI Flair programme, there aren't enough offbeat comedy dramas, and with Adonis we hope to show that we can laugh at ourselves and our insecurities too. So we want to raise awareness in a light-hearted way and foster an environment in the gay community where body positivity and kindness stands above idealised images and toxic thoughts. I'd like to take a moment to read a section from the director's statement because our writer and director James can't be here today. Last year I dressed up and was very confident in my appearance attending a big function, and most importantly happy within myself. Within 10 minutes someone had burst my bubble by telling me I had put on a lot of weight. This was crushing. I wanted to leave and not attend any more of the day. I did, however, have amazing friends who supported me, and we had a brilliant day. With friends as support, it is within ourselves to adjust our thinking and feel comfortable in our own skin. Those were just a few of the words that drew me to the project. As a producer, I've produced several short films. They've screened at BAFTA and BIFA qualifying festivals. My short film In Battle has been picked up for international distribution. And alongside my producing career, I'm also an experienced first AD, and I currently have 2 projects screening in BFI Flair Programme 2025. My co-producer, Victoria Haycroft, a producer on A Night Like This, which is premiering at BFI Flair 2025. She formerly worked in factual commissioning at the BBC and now runs Entertainment Connect, which is a global non-profit organisation to help provide support for people in the industry. Our writer and director is James Weiss. His film About Face won the Best Film Award at the Imagine Film Festival. His project Parallax Point opened the Screen Dance section at the BAFTA Qualifying Leeds International Film Festival. And his films In Battle and Silver Lining have screened at the LGBTQIA+ Loudest Whispers Festival and the Norwich International Queer Film Festival. All our main cast has been confirmed. We have Kane Surrey as Nathan, Nino Tamaya as Nameen, Matthew Hartley as Leo, and Donald Say as Marco. We are also supporting and partnering with LGBT Hero and Mind Out, whose mission resonate with the themes of our film. And we are planning to do some outreach programs and charity events, as well as community screenings and panel discussions in cooperation with those two charities. We have an immediate reach. We have an immediate social media reach of 50,000 that we will capitalize on. And our ultimate goal is to premiere the film at BFI Flair in 2026. And hopefully you all get to see it as well. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much. I've got a quick question to start with. You mentioned you've just started fundraising and you're looking to raise a budget of 14,000. What are the various sources that you're looking for money from?
Yes, so we're just about to start an Indiegogo campaign, as well as we have a couple of private investors that we are reaching out to, and we have a couple of other grants that we are looking at in the UK. And Victoria Haycroft is in Australia at the moment. She has a lot of connections through the global non-profit organization that she's running. So there should be a few private investors coming through any minute now.
Okay. And have any of you on your team done crowdfunding before? Or
Yes. So I've run a successful crowdfunding campaign, as well as the writer and director, James. And Victoria has, through Entertainment Connect, has had several crowdfunding experience campaigns that she's run.
Okay, great. Thank you. Adam?
I've just got one quick question, and that's specifically I'm just trying to get a sense of the movie itself. So just briefly describe, just take me through what genre you plan on shooting what genre you plan on using for the film, and how you're going to be using that genre to inform the thematics of Adonis.
Yes, of course. So it is a comedy drama. So our main character, Nathan, got invited to a stag do. It's a pool party, so there is swimwear involved. So it is all about his trying to find his own confidence to go buy a swim trunk and go to this party. So we are trying to tell it in an entertaining, light-hearted way. So there will be comedic bits in it while trying to maintain that notion of being seen by people while not feeling confident in your own body, and trying to overcome that feeling, knowing that you are actually going to a party that are all your friends and they will accept you just as you are. So I like what Susie mentioned in her pitch, trying to tell a very heavy topic in an entertaining, light way, while still having that underneath, that knowing that this is what a lot of people struggle with in their daily lives.
Great.
Okay, cool.
Well,
thank you
so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. Okay. We are now going to move on to the next pitch. Just before we do, if we could also ask Ed with the film Sapiens to join us on StreamYard, as you'll be going next. And for the next film, Time's Up, I see Chad. Chad, you're here with the film Time's Up, right? And you've got...
yes, and I'm with Aisha as well.
Great. All right, guys. Your 5 minutes starts now. I believe you're muted, Isha. It might be under settings. You should be able to click on the 3 dots next to your image, and there under edit mic settings, you might be able to switch between, for example, your laptop microphone or something else. Give that a moment. All right. Is it working now? Can you say something? Nope. Still no.
Okay.
Is there? Yeah. Do you see the little edit mic settings next to your image? Down at the bottom there'll be 3 dots with edit mic settings where you might be able to switch between the both. Chad, I hope you came prepared and are ready to go.
I didn't. I'm the pitch is being handled primarily by Aisha. I'm the co-writer of the script, and so I'm just mostly there to field further questions.
Right. Okay. Right. Let's give it another minute or so and see if Ed, I see you backstage. Would you be ready to go first? If you would, if you can turn your camera on backstage, that will just give me the indication that you'd be ready to go first, and perhaps we can go with you first. I see your slides. I don't see you. Okay. I always knew that having 11 pitches and probably about 30 different on-screen participants, it would be an absolute miracle if there wasn't some sort of technical hiccup during the pitches. All right, Aisha, let's give this another go. Let's see. No. Right. Can you try speak now as well? No. I would recommend maybe trying with your headphones or something different to see if that helps. But also, just while we're trying that out, Ed, can you give me a thumbs up in the backstage if you're ready to go first, perhaps?
He just wrote, "I'd need a minute" in the chat.
No worries, no worries. No problem.
Okay, so I'll switch my camera off and come out of it because he's just said, I'm not sure if my audio is working, but I'm assuming he's ready to try.
Okay. Ed, give me a thumbs up if you are ready to go now. Or not quite yet. Yeah, cool. Awesome. All right. So let's start with Ed. So Adam, just so you know, we are moving to Ed with Sapiens. Ed, please tell me we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Or
yes, fantastic. All right, great. So yeah, feel free to start your pitch.
Okay, I just got a cup of tea, and I should also say the sunglasses are not an affectation. I've just had an operation on my eyes, so apologies for that. Anyway, my name's Ed Wiles. I'm a writer-director, and on this occasion, I'm pitching Sapiens, a 15-minute psychological thriller. We estimate the film would cost about £15,000 to make, but hope making use of favours will bring that figure down somewhat. We have £7,500 already secured, and making use. I wasn't ready. I didn't have my there. Okay, now I can see the presentation. Sorry. So we have £7,500 secured, as well as some in-kind support, including the post-production sound from Bang Zoom Studios in LA. So let's get to the logline. When a struggling animal welfare inspector discovers a dog killer is abusing a new pet, it sparks a quest for revenge that reveals the inspector's dark side. So the film explores the psychological toll that seeing animal abuse on a daily basis could take on someone who sees Homo sapiens as no more worthy than a dog, a cat, or even a chicken. It thus encompasses themes like speciesism and misanthropy. Our hero is Jermaine Jones, a black man in his late 30s. He appears to be a mild-mannered animal welfare inspector doing a difficult job with good grace. Indeed, the opening scenes in this thriller are deliberately ambiguous in terms of genre. Yet there is also a darker subtext from the very beginning, and as the story progresses, especially from the moment he is called upon to visit the man he knows to be a dog killer, Jermaine's actions, as well as the visuals and soundscape, suggest we are heading towards a disturbing finale. Now, that finale sees Jermaine kidnap this man and take him to a deserted warehouse, where it is revealed that Jermaine has been holding another animal abuser throughout the film. This woman has been kept in a cage for weeks in an eye-for-an-eye revenge for the way she treated her own pet. However, on seeing the fate that awaits him, Jermaine's new victim refuses to enter his own cage. In essence, he refuses to be tamed, and as such must be euthanized. The method of euthanasia will be comparable to the method with which he killed his own dog. That is to say, he will die fairly brutally. So in the end, it becomes clear that Jermaine has lost his humanity. Now, Sapiens is a collaboration with Femi Oyinnerin, who will be both the producer and lead actor. We have collaborated on several projects in the past, beginning with my award-winning BFI short City Lights. We are especially keen to make this new one because it works as a proof of concept for a feature. Had to turn over the notes. Femi has produced and acted in several features previously, but Sapiens would be my debut feature. Although I am best known for my comedies, this short film follows on from You Eat Other Animals, which unsurprisingly also explored our relationship with animals and has led to offers of funding and the in-kind support that I previously mentioned. Several of my short films have turned a profit, proving that online distribution has opened up different marketing opportunities, whether or not the film has a festival run or not. Having said that, like I think every film on here, we would expect to begin by submitting the film to major festivals. We feel the story is incredibly strong and are keen to make a visually stunning film with a suitably disturbing soundtrack. We believe, as everyone does, it could do well on the festival circuit. So I think this is fairly short and sweet. I'll leave you with the storyboard, which references some of the films that match our genre, including vigilante films like Prisoners and Taxi Driver. There's also Falling Down, which is shows my age, but remains one of my favorite films. Queen of Slim, not exactly a vigilante film, but has a similar sort of flavor in terms of someone who finds himself in a tricky situation. And that's all I wanted to say, really. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. And just before we jump into questions, if we could also ask Meg with the film project The Craving to join us on StreamYard. Adam, would you like to start off with any questions this time?
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting. I recently watched a movie called Euthanizer, which is also about a guy who puts dogs down, and he starts to have a very tenuous relationship with the people that he has to put the dogs down. And it's quite interesting that this project is that you're pitching something like this literally after I've just watched a feature with very, very similar topics. So
Okay.
you'd spoken about it being a psychological thriller, and what's interesting is I do get quite a firm idea of like how the movie is going to run. One question I have to ask is just how deeply do you plan on leaning into the vengeance themes, and are we looking at something that will be quite violent, or is it more of like the suggestion of those kind of things to build the thrills and to build that kind of psychological tension?
It's only violent at the end, I guess. In a way, I've actually just been watching the TV version of Mr. Ripley. So it's just called Ripley, isn't it? The TV version, and that kind of reminds me of, the scene in the boat. That's the kind of violence we see. So up until that moment, there's like a sort of feeling, a disturbing feeling, and it's kind of building, and we see him becoming kind of stalking this man. But it's fairly subtle. As I say, it starts off, the genre is somewhat ambiguous to start with. It could just be a drama, a bit like, say, Prisoners, for example, and then it builds in more and more into this thriller, and it becomes, it's always kind of dark, but it becomes darker and darker as we go along. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure if it does.
Yeah. It's slow burn that builds up into something that's going to, that's quite shocking at the end.
Yeah,
So,
I also I didn't mention it, but I also had Snowtown in my genre, in my mood board, which is another film I really love. Obviously, you can't take quite that amount of time in a short, but I did love the way it kind of took its time to build this sort of the complete horribleness of it.
I also
all right, thank you.
I also wanted to ask you about, is this film actually going to feature a lot of animals as well in terms of the dogs and so on, or are you not going to have to worry about all of that on set?
Yeah, we are going to show some animals. We are aware, and in fact, Femi's not very keen on dogs. So even though it's the only dog he really encounters is a puppy, he's still saying, yeah, he needs to get over that. We're aware. We have worked with animals before, and I come at this perhaps fairly obviously from a animal rights kind of background. So any animals we use will be treated as best as they can be.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for pitching. Yeah, great.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. Okay, guys, we are going to go back to Chad and Aisha to see if that mic has started working. But in the meantime, if we could please ask Meg with the carving to come onto StreamYard, and if we could also ask Lisa with Harry Mary to please come onto StreamYard so that you guys are ready to pitch just after this as well. That would be fantastic. Right, Aisha, let's give this another go. I have faith. No, no, still doesn't work. Have you switched the audio within StreamYard to headphones? Yeah, if you try and switch the actual audio by clicking on the, are you, give me a thumbs up if you can go into the settings on StreamYard. Or actually, alternatively, we've got a very good suggestion over here to try on your phone. if you can join StreamYard from your phone and pitch from that might work better. Yeah. Great. So yeah, I will let you get on to that. In the meantime, just while we're ready, waiting for the other people pitching to come on and waiting for Aisha to join from her phone, I also wanted to let everyone know about one other opportunity with City Circle, which is currently coming up, which I think is on theme with the short film pitching competitions. If any of you guys watching have already created short films, as many of you know, it is very, very difficult to monetize them because very few people will pay for short films. Very few streaming platforms will take short films and allow you to monetize them. So we're trying to solve that issue by packaging short films into feature films, into essentially anthologies. And distributing those as feature films, and then giving all the filmmakers with all the short films within that particular feature film an even cut of the distribution. So if you guys are interested in that, feel free to check it out on our website. You can apply with your short films. The best thing about this is, you can get films that are 5 or 6 or 7 years old, and those can be eligible. But also, because we are creating a new piece of content with these feature films, rather than just distributing your short film, that means you can still, it's a completely non-exclusive distribution model where you yourself can continue distributing your own short films. We are just going to be packaging it into a completely new feature film. So in that sense, you can continue to do everything else you would normally do with your short film. Okay, great. We've got Aisha back over here. So I will leave this up on the screen for just another minute so that everyone who wants to can grab that. Now, Aisha, please say something.
Hi.
Great. Okay,
Yes.
this is
Okay.
best news ever.
Apologies
So
for
I'll add
that.
Chad on as well. And yes, your 5 minutes starts now.
Hi, I'm Aisha, the producer of Time's Up, which is a short psychological thriller with soft sci-fi elements, and this is Chad, one of the writers. So it follows a woman called Tara who's trapped on a date with a man called Ben, who is this predatory man who possesses an extraordinary time-reversing device. As the terrifying reality unfolds, her only chance to escape is to outfox him. Now, the team we have involved in the project is myself, the producer. I have produced 2 short films, one that came out last year and one that is currently in pre-production. Chad and Emelina are the 2 writers, and their first major project together was working on the audio drama podcast Beyond the Gates, which was showcased on BBC Upload. And we also have Gonzalo Salgado, who is the DOP/cinematographer. He has mainly done documentaries, branded and sports content, shooting ads and commercials and social media campaigns. And then finally, we have Francisco, our director, who couldn't be with us today, but he has done various short films at his time at university, and we have actually collaborated together before. So his first film with me was Bad Influences, which is what he directed and wrote and what I produced last year, which is currently in pre-production. So the idea and concept for this film. So Ben is this self-assured, smooth, erudite man, or at least he believes himself to be. And Tara is this bubbly but deeply intelligent woman. She finds herself on this first date with the man she met online. She's a bit out of her comfort zone in this luxury setting in a private booth in a high-end restaurant. What Tara doesn't know is that Ben possesses an extraordinary time-reversing device, and he's already begun using it to manipulate her. But as the day progresses, Ben makes a mistake, and this causes his lies to unravel, and for his true sinister nature to reveal himself. Tara must find a way to escape, but Ben won't give up control, and Tara wants to stop him from ever violating another person, including herself. But Ben doesn't care what Tara thinks, and her only chance to outfox him is to play him at his own game. The script is filled with twists and turns and is paired with a simple setting, just in a restaurant, and a small cast of 4 actors. At its core, the story asks the viewer to consider the nature of power, abuse, violence, and even when the victim is blissfully unaware. It explores themes through a time reversal mechanic, which sees Ben and Tara driven to their limits and exposes the rawest aspect of their characters. In terms of budget, the total budget will be around £12,900. Our plans to raise this money is through crowdfunding, our own funds, and applying to other short film funds as well. This will compensate crew, cast, and equipment and location. And finally, we have marketing distribution. Since we are fairly emerging directors, we plan to submit to film festivals. We do want to try to submit to big festivals such as Cannes, Sundance, Berlin, Toronto, Radiance, but we do know that these are very hard film festivals to get into. So some smaller festivals we considered is London Short Film Festival and the Smalls Films Festival, which focus primarily on emerging filmmakers. During the stages of production and post-production, we plan to release small teaser trailers and behind-the-scenes content of the process, bringing this film to life to kind of build up like suspense and engagement of the film. We're also looking for independent distribution companies that may want to work with us to release the film. Again, since we're up and emerging artists, we feel partnering with somebody who has a bigger, like large audience will help us get our work out there. And yeah, Chad, do you have anything else to add?
No, nothing to add. But obviously we're open for questions now.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for pitching. Yeah, a couple of just very, very quick questions,
Yeah.
short answers. Crowdfunding, have you guys done that before? Because especially in 2025, that can be very challenging, even if the target is quite low.
Yeah, we've not specifically used crowdfunding pages, only GoFundMe. So that was for a project we did 2 years ago. We needed at least £500 for the budget, and we raised 300. So it wasn't too bad. That was a lot smaller target though. But yes, we have done campaigning and raising funds before.
Okay. And if the crowdfunding, if you don't manage to raise a significant chunk of money, you mentioned that you might be self-funding it a little bit. Do you have any other funding avenues that you're currently exploring?
Yeah, so we're trying to apply for other film funds, mostly because if the combination with this, the amount we would need is 10K left. So we're trying to apply for short films that give out 10K just to like emerging writers or upcoming filmmakers. Yeah.
And which funds in particular are you looking at, and have you applied to any yet?
No, we've just recently found one which the deadline is soon. It's a bit different from other pitching funds. I think it's just called the Film Fund. It is like you have to like kind of write a synopsis, and from there they choose one, and then step by step you kind of reveal your like short film. I've never applied to it myself, but
is it the Pitch Film Fund?
Yeah.
Cool. Or just the film fund? Okay, cool. Adam, any questions for you?
Just got two quick questions. One is very simple. How long do you think you're planning on making the movie run? What's your run time?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
How long do you see Time's Up running? Or how long do you think Time's Up is going to be when the movie's completed? How long is the movie going to run for? What's the run time?
It's between 20 and 30 minutes.
And okay, so you're dealing with quite a pared down sci-fi, and obviously your concept of being able to manipulate time is sort of like your key sort of signifying the driving concept that will kind of be the sci-fi elements. But outside of that, how do you plan on holding the tension and holding your audience if you are just going to be using one small location, or if you're going to be using one location? It's obviously quite a pared down movie, so. Outside of the idea of flipping through time, what are the key things that you'll be using to keep us involved in the story?
Sure. So I'd say it's actually quite soft as far as the sci-fi element goes. The time device is just a mechanic to tell the story. It's a tool for the characters to use full power and control to create traps for each other, to try to outmaneuver each other, and it's quite pared down. The reason that we have the single location, it actually benefits the stories in a lot of ways. Because firstly, we want the audience to feel trapped, like the character Tara is. But we also have, you know, a lot of concepts. We have this narrative which builds tension from beginning to end. There's also snappy dialogue. There's different concepts being introduced. And so we don't want to distract the viewer by having a lot of different scenes and settings. And then obviously on top of that, there are the visual aesthetics, which will add to that.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So, glad we managed to get the audio sorted in the
Yeah,
end.
sorry about that.
No worries. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks.
Great, awesome. And we will now be moving on to the craving. So Meg, I'm going to add you to the stage just now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And your 5 minutes starts now.
Hi, I've not long finished work, so I'm in my car. I apologize if the signal's really bad as well. And also, this is my first time ever doing a pitch, so thank you for having me. And I'm nowhere near as prepared as anyone else has been, so I hope that it goes okay. So I'll start off by reading out the synopsis. And it's in this 80s style slasher horror, a group of friends visit their local Halloween attraction. As the friends navigate their way through the horror houses and jump scare filled mazes, a real horror unfolds. A deranged serial killer has infiltrated the attraction. Wearing a mask, he blends seamlessly with the actors and performers. He targets both the actors and unsuspecting visitors as on his impetuous killing spree. At first, the thrill seekers believe the murders are all part of the act, but as the body count rises and the screams grow more authentic, they soon realise the horror is far more real. So I'm actually primarily a special effects makeup artist in film and TV. I've only recently got into the writing and directing side of things. I think it's really helped with my confidence, and sorry, my mind's going blank.
Okay, we've got another technical issue. Fantastic. gotta love those. Meg has just dropped out. Hopefully she will be able to join us back on. So we'll give her 20-30 seconds to join us. Yeah, in the meantime, I'll just add this back onto the screen in case someone wants to check out the short film distribution opportunity. But yeah, we'll just wait for 20 or 30 seconds for Meg to jump back on. If she doesn't, because it could be that her connection is quite bad, we will move on to the next pitch, which will be Harry Mary. Okay, I think just to save on time, let's move on to the next pitch and we'll see. Oh no, there she is. Meg is back. Okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. There you are. Okay, continue.
Okay, so I actually struggle really badly with my anxiety, hence me just panic leaving then. So I'm going to try and push through as best as I can. I started doing these short horror films about 1.5 years ago. Most of them have been maybe like 4 minutes. 4 minutes long has been the longest one that I've done so far. And I started to try and help other creatives with filming. So I have no budget whatsoever for this film, with being a freelance special effects makeup artist. All of it has been my own budget with the practical effects, hence it being a horror short film. I've been really lucky with meeting a load of creative people who are now really close friends of mine. We have a cast of 15 people that I've met just through doing these short horror films. They're all going to be getting involved. Luckily, all of them are volunteering. Sorry, I'm really trying to keep it together. So they're all volunteering for me, no budget. So this is kind of why I'm relying on things like people learning equipment and things like this. Have someone doing music for us, like 80s synth style music. I really just want to help other creatives kind of put show reels out there, get into filmmaking. I'm sorry, do you mind asking me questions instead?
No problem at all.
I'm so sorry.
Don't worry about it. The first pitch you ever do is always going to be nerve wracking.
I feel better seeing faces.
No problem at all. Listen, I wanted to ask you, first of all, I've seen your work. I've seen it at our events, so I know you're great in terms of, you know, the special effects, makeup.
Yeah, usually better behind the camera.
Yeah. So let me ask you a few questions. I mean, I know you're kind of, you know, that was your main sort of role, and now you're moving to doing even more. Have you thought about sort of what you'll do with the film once it's done? So the marketing, the distribution, is that something that you thought of, or is perhaps someone on your team going to be handling that? What's the plan once the film is complete?
Yeah, so actually I've been accredited at Cannes Film Festival in the past, and I have been for this year as well. So hopefully I'd go down like international like horror festivals, like international, like normal film festivals, like Cannes itself. I kind of took inspiration from American makeup artist called Damien Lone, who did the Terrifier films. I don't know if you've heard of those. So he's a makeup artist like myself, but also got into writing and directing. So that's kind of where I'd like to go with it. Start off with the short film, see if we can get some funding to potentially make it a feature film. But I think mostly I just want to help creatives kind of get their foot through the door, because I've been lucky enough to get to where I am in film and TV. I know not everyone has access to like university and like acting courses, or even being able to pay for like a show reel, or just, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
quick follow. Yes, I go.
I was going to say, I also teach mental health patients, which is a little bit ironic, teach them how to do makeup as well. So a few of those will be coming on to assist me with doing the makeup. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great to hear. And will you be doing the makeup as well as directing on that shoot?
I will, yes. So I'll be the designer. Obviously, everything's made in preparation. I'll have 2 makeup artists helping me, and then a few assistants. With it being set in a Halloween attraction, we'll be using the attraction's makeup artists to do their side of things. So all of the scare actors will be getting done by their makeup artists. Then I'll be doing the main cast and crew with 2 really good friends of mine.
Right. Great. Adam, any questions on your side?
It was actually, I think you kind of almost answered it a little bit, because I wanted to just find out about the actual, like the location where you were planning on shooting, because obviously you work in special effects makeup, so a horror would obviously be something I would lean into. But just take me through a little bit of the world itself, like the location where we would find these characters, and just kind of give me a little bit of description. I'm just want to get my head into where I would see all of this action taking place.
Okay, so originally we were going to be filming in a place called Tully's Scare Farm, which is I'm not sure exactly where it is, but it's a huge Halloween attraction, and they have like 4 or 5 different mazes. They'll have like a theme park there as well. They have just actors walking around, so there'll be a load of supporting actors as well. I've had plenty of people wanting to get involved in that side of things, and then we'll have our main killer who joins the actors.
And then just one other question I have. I mean, outside of people who are quite interested in 80s style slasher movies, because I mean you've spoken about the sound, like the soundtrack and things like that. So I'm kind of getting a bit more of idea of that kind of thing. But outside of people who are super into 80s style, who else do you see as your audience for this movie?
I'm not too sure. Well, obviously horror fans, but like more like the older horror fans. I've noticed a lot of people don't like more modern jump scares and things like that. There won't be any jump scares. It'll be more graphic. I hate to say, more like practical than like fake jump scares and suspense.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. Thank you.
So much. Yeah, and yeah, good job on your first pitch. I hope the first of many. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thanks for having me, guys. Thank you.
All right, guys, we are gonna go straight into the next pitch, Harry Mary. And if we could also ask Emma with Canvas Playgrounds and Nicholas with Decent Into the Night to join us on StreamYard, that would be fantastic. So Lisa, I'm just gonna add you to the stage along with your teammate. And feel free to start whenever you're ready. Your 5 minutes.
Amazing. Hello, everyone. I am Lisa. I'm the lead producer for Harry Mary. Harry Mary is a short film. It is a supernatural dark comedy with flavors of classic British humor. Basically, Mary is a middle-aged woman. She's a bit lost in her life. And we meet her in the moment where a colleague pulls a chin hair from her face. And that moment starts a cascading chain of events, which is counted down by the ticking time bomb of the moon. Mary, over a series of 3 days, Mary is faced with ghosts of her present and future self, which then leads her to a path of self-acceptance and new connection amongst her fellow werewolves or wereladies. Our budget is about 15,000. As it stands, I have made deals with post houses and some kit houses. We are planning to shoot in London over the summertime. We currently have 1/3 raised, which is partly from private funding and some crowdfunding, and also my own investment. Our team are an amazing bunch of women. We have Demetrius. I'm going to totally not pronounce your name correctly, so I'll just run through our team quickly. So Sarah Lee is our director. Sarah, you probably already know, she recently has won a Director's Award at the RTS for Typical, which she wrote and directed, and it's been BAFTA nominated and BIFA nominated. She also is a very talented actress, and she's very much setting the standard for inclusivity on set, and that's something that we actually really hope to kind of bring into our everyday filming within the crew, both on camera and off camera. Just some themes that Mary is going through, which is loss of identity, which is something that lots of women face at middle-aged. It's called the Great Unseen Workforce. Mary has been a very successful woman, and she's now in a point where she's feeling quite lost. And this is something that lots of women can connect with. And you know, the subject of menopause is now coming out of the closet, and women are talking about it. It has not been a subject where people, because of the taboo, people were embarrassed to discuss what was happening because they actually didn't know what it was themselves. And so this is why it's really important to make films and show women that, you know, and that there's characters out there that reflect them on the big screen. Just to introduce our fantastic DOP, Demetia. Her work has included Netflix-funded short film 27 and The Queen of Diamonds. Her short film Man to Man has gained significant recognition, becoming both BIFA and BAFTA qualifying. And I'd love to introduce Demetia to talk a bit about the cinematography of it.
Hi everyone. Well, I'll get into it straight away. This dark comedy demands a bold, dynamic visual language that obviously mirrors Mary's transformation, both physically and emotionally. I'd say that this film early sequences should be shot in a really hyper-controlled manner with symmetrical framing, starting shot, the saturated color palettes reflecting and highlighting the rigidity of the structured life that Mary lives. However, when the disruptions start to happen, you know, the hair start to grow, and all the little hint of her transformation start to begin, the camera should follow. And so we start having the much more handheld movement, having a more raw kinetic approach, and that also mimic a sort of start loss of control, until she finally embraces her transformation. And then the movement now becomes much more fluid as she embraces her true self. The colors will also become richer as her senses will be heightened as she finds her new identity. It will be so crucial for us to also underline her new heightened senses, to include extreme close-ups of like textures like the fur, the teeth, dilated pupils, emphasizing the grotesque beauty of her metamorphosis. Another really clear point is that she's having a shift in identity. So we will definitely have a lot of visual metaphors, such as shots of through mirrors, the glass reflection that will reinforce the duality of Mary's existence. But I also want to underline that the cinematography should capture not just the grotesque, but also the beauty of this transformation, ultimately making Mary's journey feel raw, surreal, but really empowering. And back to you, Lisa.
Amazing. And just something about myself, I am a graduate from the NFTS for over 8 years ago. I've been working both in shorts, high-end TV, films for the last 8 years, working with budgets cast across different departments, production, locations, and costume, working with budgets up to 8 million. We have connected as a team with various sponsors and charities, so we're developing that relationship currently, which will also feed into our funding pot. And we're hoping to we're going to aim for like Romford Horror Film Festival and Soho Horror. And also I'm connecting with my Irish roots, which is the Galway Film Festival. There's quite an appetite for comedy horrors in Ireland, so I feel like we're on the nose. And that's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. I just want to kick off with a few questions over here, just on the kind of producing side. Can you let us know, how many days the shoot will be, what the budget is, and just sort of that kind of information?
So we will be shooting over 3 days. Ideally, Mary's flat features quite a lot for her transition, so we'll have one full day there. Our budget is just over 15,000, and so we've about 3.5 raised so far through funding, through investment from other people, and some of my own investment. And we're planning to shoot in London, but again, actually, we're quite open to moving that around. So I have reached out to other cities as well, just to see if there is little funding pots that we can engage with, along with kind of bolstering up other side deals we've made.
Right, and are there any other funding routes that you're exploring at the moment, aside from, say, local grants?
Yeah, so Ireland actually has quite a lot. So I'm doing a blended, and actually potentially might have a co-producer involved. Of course, we're doing all the typical BFI funding and various female funding pots, and yeah, we're relaunching our crowdfunding towards the summertime, so we're hoping to shoot kind of June-ish.
Okay, great, thank you. Adam, any other questions?
Yeah. So first question is, since this is a transformation, and you're speaking about your main character's transformation into a werewolf. I mean, that's quite a lot of what's the word I'm looking for, like actual practical makeup that will need to be applied. There's a lot of length of time. I mean, do you feel this is something that would be quite achievable in 3 days, given that's quite a labor intensive sort of makeup sessions that would need to happen.
Of course. So I've actually engaged with 2 VFX artists, SFX artists. And so Mary's transition, for at least 70% of the movie, she's actually just human. And we're not going to go into the visceral, like the atypical werewolf look. We're going for like a humanoid, because she's starting out, she's in that perimenopausal phase, and there's a scene right at the end where she and other werewolves have gathered to howl at the moon, and we will see the older ladies within the generation will be more like werewolves. So she's kind of starting. So just there's play on it, but it's not going to be a full transition just yet. So actually, yeah, we having worked as well with SFX makeup artists before, that I know, having done, once you factor in testing with the cast member to make sure everything works well, and then people have time to practice, and you have everything molded in time, then that really cuts down your prep time on the day.
Okay, thank you. And then one other quick question I do have, since this is I think you'd mentioned it's a dark comedy, and I think with something, I guess it leans quite well into sort of that horror comedy kind of realm. Have you got any sort of have you given any sort of ideas, or do you have any thoughts about how you plan on strategically marketing the short?
So I definitely think we're aiming to look at all the festivals that deal with horror, but because the comedy, although maybe in my pitch I haven't quite delivered, but the comedy is a really strong element. And between the 3 of us, Demetria, Sarah and I, we will really play into that kind of British humor element, almost like, a blend of Bridget Jones kind of, with that like silliness. So I don't want to pigeonhole ourselves just into that genre, but because I do think there's universality in what she's going through, and people in middle life just feeling lost.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Okay, fantastic. So we are going to dive straight into the next page, Canvas Playgrounds. So Emma, I'm just going to add you to the stage, and you've got Hiroki with you. Is that right? Yes. Great.
I've got Hiroki, and I've also got a presentation as well.
Yes, you do. Here you go. Okay, fantastic. So whenever you're ready, feel free to start.
Thank you.
Megumi, a bullied schoolgirl and talented artist who often escapes into her imagination, discovers that her unique relationship with art is able to offer her more than she could have ever expected. Hi, Cinecircle. I'm Hiroki, a British-Japanese filmmaker and the writer-director of our project, Canvas Playgrounds, a mixed medium short inspired by my experiences of being a multicultural kid in the UK.
Hi, I'm Emma Kyungmi Sheldrick, a British-Korean producer and the founder of production company +82.
Canvas Playgrounds is a coming-of-age drama, but I'd also like to place it in the genre of magical realism. Naturalistic, emotional performances will flow seamlessly into sections of animation when our protagonist interacts with artworks, allowing the audience to access the confusions and frustrations of our quiet protagonist.
Our lowest budget estimate is £24,000 with a shoot cost of £11,000. We're currently halfway through our crowdfunding, where we've raised almost £3,000 of our £10,000 flexible goal. And Hiroki and I have both pledged £5,000 each. And we also hope to bring on board another exec or 2 down the line. With the support from Cinecircle, our personal contributions to the budget can be allocated to Kickstart and post-production, which includes the film's animation.
In an explosive opening scene, we meet Megumi, a 12-year-old Japanese girl at a difficult chapter in her childhood. She's routinely bullied at her all-girls school, with some of the abuse being racially charged. Despite being close with her mother and a favorite student of her art teacher, she finds it impossible to communicate her circumstances and the growing confusion and frustration she feels towards her own identity to the adults that could help in her life. And so she retreats further into her artwork. Her unique relationship with art is not just an escape, but a place for her to try and make sense of why this is happening to her. Over the course of the film, we follow this journey of introspection as Megumi hits rock bottom. Canvas Playgrounds is a film which at its core deals with identity and self and the immigrant and multicultural experience. There are two pillar ideas to Canvas Playgrounds which remain the same from when I first started writing it 3 years ago. The first is that I wanted to use animation within a live action film to not only give audience access to the repressed thoughts of a young person, highlighting how young people may not be being provided with the right vocabulary and language to understand their own identities and others, but also to stress the potential power and necessity of art for essential understandings and escape. The second is the want to represent a version of the British East Asian experience on screen. I therefore share Japanese culture and language, making this a bilingual film within a backdrop of suburban England. Given that there are approximately 300 languages spoken in the UK, it's shocking to see how few multilingual films there are, and Canvas Playgrounds will be a part of the ongoing revision of what a British film can be. Britishness is multiculturalism, and my hope is that this film represents not just a British-Japanese, or even a British East Asian experience, but a British one, what it can mean and how it can feel to live on this island we call home.
So we have an incredibly talented team of people who I personally believe are the future of British film.
So while my professional experience is mainly as an actor, appearing in the prequel Hunger Games film, stage adaptation of The Garden of Words and BBC's Mr. Loverman, I also have written and directed 3 short films whilst I was at university.
And I have over 10 years of experience in production, and I have produced 3 short films, including Tamagoyaki, which screened at festivals worldwide, including BAFTA, BIFA, Academy, and Canadian Screen Award qualifying festivals. And this week is also being featured as part of the Women in Film and TV Festival in London. Neve, my co-producer, she works at the National Theatre, and a lot of her work there seeks to empower young people to express their voices through art, which is why I thought it was so important to have her on this project.
We also have Darius, who's our DOP. His work has been previously BAFTA nominated, been selected for BFI Flair, and won Best British Film at Iris Prize. He also recently attended Sundance with Last Days, a film from Justin Lin, on which he was the second unit DOP.
Other notable team members include Olivia Britton, whose credits include Black Mirror, Dune, Disney's Rogue One, Kai Shih, who's worked on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Mark Choi, who's a BAFTA Games Connect member, and last but not least, we've had Tania Miller, who appears in The Haunting of Bly Manor and in Foundation. We feel quite confident that we could make Canvas Playgrounds into a film that could hit all the big headline film festivals. And we've also really ambitiously set our sights on awards, and we hope to make a film that's worthy of nominations. While festivals are an important objective for us, we also want to collaborate with schools and youth groups to host screenings for young audiences. Luckily, through Neve's work with the National Theatre's learning programs and her previous work in arts and education sector, we have the perfect person to take the lead on something like this. And after the festival rounds, we like to make the film freely available on YouTube because we want it to be accessible. But we are also open to any other streaming opportunities that might arise. So this has been Emma and Hiroki with Canvas Playgrounds, and we look forward to answering any questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great, fantastic. So thank you so much for pitching. I just want to kick it off with a question over here. So you mentioned the full budget is 24K, and about half of that you mentioned is for post-production, right? For all the animation and so on, and half of it around is for the main shoot. And you've so far raised basically 13K, right? 5 each, and then 3 from the crowdfunding.
Yes.
So it's still a relatively significant part to raise. So you mentioned you'd be looking at adding some other executive producers. Is this something that you've already started in conversations with people? Is that something that you've done in previous films where you've got those connections, or will you be trying to build those from scratch?
Yeah, so the biggest, I've already got the connections with execs from my work that I do in film and television, and the kind of confidence and contacts that I've built there. The main exec that we're targeting is a producer that has previously backed one of my old projects with a £13,000 investment. Right now, she has a few projects of her own already going on. So we're kind of at a stage of like keeping her posted. And then once we've shot the film, that's kind of my game plan to then show her what we've shot and hope to carry on the rest of the post-production funds through people like her and also other smaller investments from producers that I've worked with.
Okay, interesting. Adam, I'll let you go with questions in just a second, but I also would like to once again let Nicholas with Descent into Night know that if you could please go onto StreamYard. You're the last person pitching. So if you are on the YouTube live stream, please come onto StreamYard. Right, back to the questions. Adam, do you have any others you'd like to ask?
Yeah, it's obviously you're going to be using two separate mediums. So you've obviously got animation and live action. How do you plan on blending those two worlds together technically? And is this something that'll just be sort of brought in through stages, or were we looking at sort of two separate things like real world, animated world, or are we going to see these two kind of worlds blending together in the film?
So I'll start with this, and Emma, if you've got anything you can add. So obviously a big risk or a big challenge and a big excitement of it is this kind of medium blending. It's a big part of the project. And we actually, to be more specific, we have two different animation styles. So we have an animation style, which will be 2D stop motion animation for when our protagonist is interacting with artworks that she herself has created. She's only 12 years old. And so the idea behind the animation fluidity is that it's a stop motion. So it kind of feels a bit more jumpy and it will glitch and it will buffer because she hasn't fully completed these works of art. Later on in the film, she visits an art gallery and there she interacts with a body of work that isn't her own making. And so we've got a completely different set of animators that are going to come on board in order to create that world. And that will be like a 2D digital animation in complete fluidity, whilst trying to keep the tangibility that the original came from her imagination interacting with a piece of art. And so those are the two kind of animation styles. Me and Darius, our DOP, we've spoken a lot about how we're going to kind of move between these two spaces. And it works really well because, and we did a previs the other week, but the idea is that the way we'll film, the film is very subjective. It's very aligned with our protagonist's perspective. And, you know, again, quite handheld when we're in school and opening up in spaces where she feels more comfort. So at the home, for example, but because we're so subjective, it allows us to slip into her animation, into her imagination, because we're so aligned with her. And so whilst it's gonna, and combining with that is the sound design that Kai and our composer Mark are going to be combining in. So these transitions are going to take place through essentially the same language throughout the film, regardless of the animation type. And that is kind of a close-up of Megumi's face, the artist, looking at the piece of work, and it'll be the direct opposite shot, a kind of low angle shot looking up Megumi, and then the alternative, a bit of a high angle looking down at the piece of art or looking up at the piece of art. And that's the kind of language we're going to use consistently throughout the film. And then we were playing around with how sound design can kind of introduce and pre-lap into these worlds and come out. So it's often quite a harsh cut away from the animation because something will pull Megumi back into the real world. But when we're going into them, for example, there's the first animation is when she's interacting with a blizzard painting that she's created. We'll start hearing the blizzard effects, the sound effects coming out of the painting before that transition fully happens visually. And I've even played around with having kind of me off camera with a little fan. So we start seeing kind of her hair move and like drift a little bit before that cut happens. And it will kind of be a match cut into the character that we see in this blizzard storm. I hope that answers your question. I love talking about it, so you can ask more if you want.
And I did just want to quickly add to that is that we didn't list her on our team, but we do have an editor who is a VFX editor who I worked with on Gangs of London season 3, and she also worked on the Gentleman series as a VFX editor. So our editor knows about VFX, and we played around with all these ideas of comping the animation into the live action visuals. But we found that actually just cutting was the smoothest and cleanest way to kind of show that character's journey between mediums.
Fantastic. Guys, thank you. Thank you so much for...
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Cheers. Thank you.
For and answering all the questions. Thank you, guys. Okay, guys, fantastic. So in just a moment, we're going to move on to the final pitch. And just so everyone knows as well, we are going to be announcing winners today live at the end. So do stick around for that. If you do miss it, we'll also send a follow-up email, but would love to have you guys live for this because yeah, after this next pitch, yeah, or in a few minutes after that, we're going to be announcing the winners live today as we're grading the scores, grading the pitches as we go. Okay, fantastic. Nicholas, I see that you are ready. So we're going to just add you to the stage and then start with the final pitch. Great, fantastic. Welcome.
Hi.
Your 5 minutes starts now.
Okay, so as you can see, we're two. My name is Nicholas Penrake. I'm the writer of A Descent into Night. I'm a writer, director, producer as well. Shona is my daughter, in fact, and a video editor. She works at Future Studios, and she'll be producing and directing with me. We're both represented by Sovereign Talent in LA. The project we've come to talk to you about is a psychological horror called, as I said, Descent into Night. The budget we have raised so far is around 5,000, and we estimate we'll need another 3,500 for post and festival submissions. Logline: after being sexually assaulted by her boss and his mate, a young Ukrainian begins to lose more and more hours of daylight until one day, trapped in perpetual darkness, she makes the brave decision to go to the police, only to run headlong into a terrifying discovery. So, brief synopsis. Lydia is a young Ukrainian. She's settled in England. She has a part-time job and a temporary place to stay. And in our opening scene, we see her running through some woods, as if from a hunter. When she trips and falls, we fear the worst. She's in fact racing her boyfriend back to his car. She quickly picks herself up and wins the race. But in the car, with her boyfriend, we get a sense she's worried about her father, who's unwell in Ukraine. She's deeply uncertain about her status, and to top it all, she's just had an anti-Semitic text on her phone to look at. The same day, she goes to do a late shift at a small grocery store, and around closing time, she's sexually assaulted by her employer and his mate in a back room. They're taking advantage of her vulnerability as a refugee. It's quite clear. In the days that follow, Lydia stays mostly indoors, afraid to go out, dealing with her trauma. She notices her hours of daylight becoming increasingly less with every passing day, until just after a few days of this, she can take it no more. She's now in complete darkness. She takes her underwear with DNA evidence and hurries to the police. As she approaches the police station, light returns to her day. She begins to hope. As she approaches the entrance of the police station, she sees a uniform talking to a civilian. The policeman turns round, and to her horror, she recognizes him. He's one of her attackers. She runs off back down the street, and as she runs, the daylight that has returned starts to diminish and crowd around her until she is back in darkness again. So the concept, as you can tell already, is all around trying to find a visual language for this horrific experience of being raped this way. And obviously, as a writer, and not least because I'm a man, it was a serious challenge, you could say, to find a visual language that would get across this particular attack in a way that would be interesting and give us a sense of the woman's emotional distress, and not in any way sort of voyeuristic. So we start to understand what is going on in her mind through the loss of daylight, the feeling of claustrophobia, the feeling of helplessness. And the film itself was, I suppose, born out of my frustration with Brexit, the gathering xenophobia in certain areas of the country and, of course, around the world. It was also somewhat sparked by the Sarah Everard case, which was pretty awful case of a policeman having murdered raped and murdered a young woman. And I just felt, I think, a sort of moment of outrage. And I actually wrote 2 endings for this. One was happier, if you like, optimistic. And the other was the one I've got, which is angry and a sort of cry of dismay, because I wanted to jolt the audience and make us realize the times we're in aren't just about this crime in itself. We're in a time when, owing to all the goings on with nationalism, xenophobia, we've got Trump and all the rest of it, we are, all of us, vulnerable to these kinds of attacks and this kind of prejudice and this kind of beastliness. Our team, well, I'm obviously, as I said, the director. I'm joined by our DP, who did a fantastic visualizer film with my other daughter, in fact, Sayina, who's directed on the film with him. He has a great command of visual language, not just as a DP, but as an editor and a colorist. And he shares my vision for the film as being quite psychologically kind of surreal, I suppose, in many respects, because the sequences that we use in the film when Lydia is, if you like, trapped in this sort of diminishing light, are really right for this film. Maria Stoffer is our amazing lead. She is in fact Ukrainian. When I found her, I just thought, wow, even 10 seconds of her showreel was just really quite special. She's a strong character, as you might imagine, of anyone running from Ukraine at this time with what's going on. So those are our two key crew and cast, and we've got other cast we're looking at penciled in. We're still looking for a couple of the characters, so it's kind of an ongoing process, but yeah, in motion. And I don't know if I am able to show you just a glimpse of Maria. Is that possible?
Is it a video?
Yes,
so
video.
that-
Can it run, or you can't show it?
Not quite.
Okay.
It always ends up being quite, quite.
Fair enough.
laggy and
No,
so on,
I was
so
going to show you
I
just
wouldn't
15 seconds, but no worries. Okay. Yeah. So moving on to marketing distribution plan. I think for me, having made a number of short films and having had several distributed mainly by Shorts TV, some of them popped up on Amazon and so on. You really can't make much money, but I do know quite well the script doctor, Rebecca Smith. She's actually been on my film podcast, One Good Take. I would almost certainly go to her after doing this film, because she's had a lot of success. If she likes the film, she has great success in getting films placed in big festivals. I call this a psychological horror because most people want to know what genre it is. So I suppose naturally enough we would be looking to target horror film festivals and enthusiasts, because there certainly is an element of horror in it. There's no question. For me, in many ways, it's a drama. It's one of those films that somebody said, what's it like? It's like Repulsion. It's like The Killing of the Sacred Deer. It's got this sort of, it's not out and out horror. It's sort of drama with elements of horror and in a kind of surreal world. In terms of promoting the film, well, I've got my daughter who's a good editor, and my other daughter's very good at doing trailers and what have you. So we would be aiming to cut visualizers and get those out in social media and generate interest there. I would use also my podcast, One Good Take, to make more use of outreach that way. Are we at the end? Okay.
Yes.
You can ask me further questions if you wish.
All right. Well, thank you first of all so much for pitching. I did want to start off with a question. It seems like the film will be very visual, and actually the lighting will be extremely important here.
Yeah.
So my question, with the budget that you've raised so far, the 5K and the full budget being 8.5K, is that going to be enough to be able to do such a visual film? Because I imagine it's something that, outdoors, playing with so much light, going to darkness and so on, could be quite costly. So how have you found that?
Not really, because it's more a question of accurate scheduling, because what you're doing is you're showing certain scenes that now she realizes, she looks at the clock, for example, and she realizes at midday I should have some light, so she looks outside, and we're actually on a night shoot, even though this is supposed to represent her normal day. So it's a question of scheduling rather than actually creating effects. So we have to be shooting in a way that takes that into account. But as I said, that is more a question of scheduling. I mean, like the scene when she goes to the police station where light comes back, we obviously have to shoot that early in the morning when light is coming up. And then the other part of the scene will be end of the afternoon, because she's now going back into darkness. So yeah, it'll be more around scheduling the shoot accurately.
Right. Okay.
To capture.
That makes more sense, because when you were saying light is coming up, I was imagining like a visual effect about coming.
No effects. Everything's in camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic.
And we one thing I did want to mention. We'd love to shoot with anamorphic lenses, but again, that's a budgetary. We've shot with anamorphic before, and it's great.
Shot it for my first film.
Yeah.
Oh no, one of my films.
One of your films. Yeah. But yeah, and it's a great look, and it so enhances that kind of strangeness that she's going through. But it is more expensive to shoot with anamorphic. But if we can afford it, we will do that. Yeah.
Adam, any questions for yourself?
Yeah, I've got 3 questions, but they're pretty short. So first one is how long are you planning on making the final movie? How long? What would be your final run?
Sorry,
your length. Yeah, the length.
Well, it's a 10.5 page script. I would see 12 minutes, 15 very maximum, but I want to keep it quite tight, even though you could make it for longer. Yeah.
And for the full production, I mean, how many days do you see you would need to achieve to shoot the whole? How many days would you?
Yeah, we've scheduled for 4 days. I think it will depend. We haven't yet battened down our locations. If we have to, make a bigger move from one location to another, that might put us into a 5th day. But I'm hoping for 4 days.
Okay. And you were talking about this sort of sitting in that in a like running as a drama, but it has horror kind of elements to it. What are some of the techniques that you're going to be using to enhance the horror elements of this, to kind of draw us out of the drama and into the horror parts of the movie?
I think it'll mainly be down to the sort of lenses that we use, using 85s, for example, to create a sort of claustrophobia, but also an isolation and a kind of a sort of a picture of her on her own in a kind of beautiful way, but she's detached from the world. So using lenses in a way that, I mean, as I sort of going back to the anamorphics, I think that will enable us to get quite close to her, with a lot of her background, which kind of hints at some of the smaller scenes, the shorter scenes that we have, where she's imagining her 2 attackers coming back into the flat, for example.
I'd like to add, I feel like it's not so much the traditional horror that you're expecting. It's more this. We are trying to illustrate dread. It's more about,
it's all about dread,
creating dread, which I think is, yes, it's more in the psychological horror aspect than just pure horror, as you've described.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks for having us on. Cheers.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, fantastic. So now we are gonna, just step away for a few minutes. We'll be marking the final pitches, adding up the scores, and we will be announcing the winners live in a few minutes' time. So if you guys just bear with us, we're gonna finalize the markings, and we'll be ready to announce the winners. So yeah, I'm just gonna add this back onto the stage, and we'll be back in a few minutes' time. All right, everybody. I hope that, yeah, first and foremost, I'd like to say a massive thank you to everyone who pitched today, and to everyone else who also submitted pitches but might have not pitched today as well. We hope that you all enjoyed the experience, minus the few technical hiccups. So as you know, we've been grading every single pitch. We've been marking it from a few different categories, those being the concept, the story, the originality behind it, the delivery of the pitch itself, the team, the experience, and as well as the marketing and distribution plans. So there were 4 separate categories from which we were individually grading it. And after we've done those individual grading, we just had a quick chat as well. But yeah, we're happy to to announce the winner of the competition. And once again, the winner will receive £3,000 of film equipment hire from Fallback Rentals, which has to be used within the next 6 months. Also 4 lifetime CineCircle Pro subscriptions, which gives you access to all of our events for free, our courses, and a range of other benefits. And finally, our film funding course as well, which is focused on feature film funding, but can also be used for shorts. So that is the final grand prize. So yes, to announce without further ado the winner of the competition. So the first prize goes to Canvas Playgrounds with Emma Sheldrick. So really, really incredible pitch, and well done, Emma. Massive kudos to you, and for putting together this film and for putting together such a great pitch. I'm going to add Adam over here as well. We'll just say a few quick words on what we loved about it. For me, it was really this combination of having great actors, great crew, great cast, but also matching that with an amazing vision and amazing way of pitching it. So it was that combination of all the things that made it for me the winning pitch. Adam, any other words?
I everything that Zivi has just said is I completely agree with it. I think for me the biggest decision had to do with clarity, and from start to finish, the pitch for Canvas Playground, I got a very good sense of what the movie would look like, how it would run, and once I kind of had that clarity, and then obviously coupled with the team experience and the casting, it just really said to me that this is something that the movie will end up looking quite elegant, and at the end of the day, it looks like just from what has been described, it'll look like a great movie. So from that point of view, and obviously just like I said, the clarity and the way that it was pitched. Also, I think when we came back with the questions, for me the big issue was, how do you blend these two media together? And I think the filmmakers were very clear with their vision of what they wanted to do with the movie. So answering those questions, sort of, any kind of concerns that I had about how the movie would be made, were answered quite quickly and quite easily. So for me, the big thing was it was very, very clear to me how the movie would look, and obviously coupled with the amazing cast already and the experience of the team, that was one of the biggest reasons for me behind why I decided that Canvas Playground was the one to go with. So yeah, thank you guys.
Great, thank you so much, Adam. And yeah, once again, massive thank you, massive congrats to Emma and Hiroki, and once again, massive thank you to Fallback Rentals for partnering with us on this pitching competition. Once again, even if you didn't win and are looking for great deals on on your equipment hire, definitely feel free to reach out to them. I've at CineCircle over the last 8 years, I've myself have dealt with a lot of different equipment hire companies, a lot of people who run equipment hire companies, and the guys at Fallback Rentals have always been incredibly nice, incredibly just really showing that they're on the side of the filmmakers and not just saying it, but actually acting on it as well. And you know, the fact that they're a partner of us on this pitching competition is a real show of that as well. Sean, give me a quick thumbs up if you want to say a couple of words again. Fantastic. I will add you on. So Sean, once again, massive thank you to you and also to Ethan for coming on board. And yeah, I'll hand it over to you to say a couple of closing words.
Yeah, well, I mean, thanks so much for the kind words, and I just want to say, you know, congratulations to everyone who pitched. And like, I know me and Ethan have done our fair share of pitching, and it can be really difficult. So congrats to everyone who has done it, and congrats to Canvas Playgrounds. Really looking forward to supplying you guys and meeting you whenever works well for you. We'll reach out on Instagram as well, and you know, work out whatever you guys need.
Absolutely, as Zulu said, feel free to get in touch if you guys need supply, and generally, you know, we'll be happy to accommodate.
Great, fantastic, guys. Well,
Thanks
thank you so
again.
much, and thank you for everyone for watching as well. I think we're all based in the UK here, the majority of us. So hope you all have a lovely rest of your evening. And we'll be in touch with the winners tomorrow over email. So once again, Sean, Ethan, thank you so much. We couldn't have done this without you. Looking to working again in the future as well.
Of course.
Thank you very much,
everyone.
Great. Fantastic all. Thank you so much and have a good night.